Hello, my wonderful students. So I'm going to be teaching you today about paraphrasing. So while you're listening to what I'm saying, you should be tracking your own notes and filling in any blanks. So a definition of paraphrase is taking something and putting it in your own words. So paraphrase is taking something and putting it into your own words. So it's similar to citing textual evidence where you pull out a quote, but instead of actually pulling it out word for word, you take it and you put it into your own words. Okay. So why do we paraphrase? Well, first of all, we want to make sure that it sounds like us. We don't want to make it, if we're 12 years old, we don't want it to sound like we're a 30-year-old professor, right? We want to make it sound real. We want to make sure that we actually understand what we're talking about. So sometimes we read an article that's way too difficult for us and we just write something down, and when I say, what does that mean? You go, I don't really know. So we want to avoid that. So we want to make sure we really know what we're actually talking about. And finally, and this is like a legal issue, you have to make sure that you're not stealing someone else's words. This doesn't make such a big difference in middle school. I don't think anyone's going to sue you or take you to court over it. But when you get older, this is the type of thing, if you paraphrase in college, it gets you kicked out of college. If you paraphrase when you're out of college and you're, let's say, a professional author or researcher or scientist, this is something that gets you kicked out of the profession and sometimes even put into jail. So you need to make sure that you're not stealing someone else's words. It's your own words said in your own way. Okay. So how do we do it? So the two tips that I have for you is, first of all, to rearrange it. So you put the words just in a different order. So instead of writing it down exactly how it was, maybe the last part comes first, the first part comes last. If you rearrange it, that will sometimes help. And second of all, you need to make sure you change a few of the words. So it's not 100% how it was written before. Some of the words, switch them around, change them around. Okay. The 5 criteria to pass for it to be a good paraphrase, and Ms. Stein will share this with me. Let me find it for you. First of all, did I use my own words? Meaning 3 in a row test. Out of, if you count 1, 2, 3 words, so for example, did I use? You can only use 3 in a row that are not your own words. Okay. So how could I paraphrase this? Instead, I could say, are the words my own? Right? You don't want to have 3 in a row that are your own. Number 2, does it make sense on its own? Number 3, can I explain it? And this ties back to what I was saying before about actually understand what you're pulling out as evidence. Number 4 is, does it sound like me? This ties back to what I was saying before about it actually sounds like us, that you're not sounding like you're some old fancy rich guy if you're not. And are my facts accurate? So when you're paraphrasing, you can't just say, I think it's basically saying this. It has to be exactly what the author is trying to say. Okay, so these are the 5 criteria that you're going to be filling in for your 5 right here. To practice this, here's the first one. We'll do it together. Read it over yourself. Okay, so I'll paraphrase this sentence by sentence. So I need to keep in mind the size, 8.5 square miles, where it is, and I need to keep that it's one of the smallest countries in the world. So I'll rearrange it, so I'll start with the last part. So I'll say one of the smallest countries in the world is Nauru, which is a Pacific island, which I got from right here, and is only 8.5 square miles. Okay, so that's paraphrasing that first sentence. Then I'll paraphrase this. The island was once rich in phosphate, but most of the resource has been mined, leaving damage. Okay, so in my own words, there used to be a lot of phosphate, but people have mined it and it has damaged the environment. Okay, notice how most of the words are replaced, but not all of them, right? I need to keep words like phosphate because that's a nice specific word. I want to mention that they mined it. I'm not replacing a word like that. Maybe I even keep a word like environment or damage the environment, right? The rule of 3, you can keep 3 in a row. I thought that was an important phrase to keep, so I kept that. And my last sentence, Nauru has a population of about 10,000 people. So in my own words, there are 10,000 people who live in Nauru. Okay, so I kept the whole basic idea of what it's saying, but it's in my own words. I got rid of the word population. That's not a word I would normally use, and instead said people who live. Same thing, just phrased in my way. Okay, so if you read this, it has the exact same meaning as this. It's just in my words. Okay, so this is called paraphrasing. Go ahead and read these down here. There's 3 more examples. You're going to practice paraphrasing yourself. Okay, thank you for listening. Good luck.